probably the smoothest HyperOS build for Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max based on Android 13. Today I am going to review the Xiaomi HyperAiter OS version 1.0.3.0 stable edition for Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max, and this is probably the smoothest HyperOS for Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max. As you can see in the smoothness, there is no jitters in the animations, and this is almost like iOS, you can say, because you can see the quick settings panel in the HyperOS is just like iOS, and even in this build we get the iOS like notification panel, and even we get the iOS like lock screen. You can see we get the depth wallpaper in this build just like other HyperOS builds, and this wallpaper is not inbuilt. I manually installed this wallpaper and it automatically detected and set this iOS style lock screen. So today I am going to review this build of HyperOS, which is HyperAiter OS based on Android 13, and again this is probably the smoothest HyperOS build made for Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max. So let's get started. So first of all, I would like to talk about the settings. So if I go to the settings, you can already see how smooth it is, and even we get a small animation in all the applications. You can see. So the most thing you will like in this build is the smoothness, because there is no lag in the smoothness in the animation, you can see. So first of all, let me go to the settings and show you the about. So this is the about of this build. This is Xiaomi HyperAiter OS made for Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max, and you can customize the device name from here. Then we get the storage section and we get the detailed information right here. We have 732GB. I have 6GB RAM in my device, and the camera is not actually 108 megapixel. I have Redmi Note 10 Pro, that's why it's 64 actually. And if I go to detailed info and specs, you can see it shows the details of the device, and yes, it is based on Android 13. You can see. And the kernel used in this build is 4.14.190 perp kernel, and the hardware version is version 1, and the OS version is 1.0.3.t8 BGMI stable, and you can join their channel from these links. If I click here, it will directly send me to their channel, which is HyperAiter OS updates, and you will get the OS updates right here. So we have 3 channels basically, which is their channels. So this is the customization section of this build. We get max FPS in all the apps. That means we will get 120 FPS stable in all the apps, no matter what app that is. And then we have unlimited Google Photo storage, unlock higher FPS in games, and high-res stream. So in Instagram and YouTube, sometimes you may have noticed that the video quality reduces automatically even if we don't do anything. Then we get the theme server. You get 4 theme servers basically. They are China, India, Russia, and Indonesia. So we get these 4 theme servers. Then we get the disable flag secure. So you may have noticed in some apps we cannot take screenshots. So if you turn this feature on, you will be able to take screenshot everywhere. There will be no restrictions, and also you will be able to do the screen record. Then we have enhanced keyboard and notification clock, notification icon limit. So the notification clock is currently set on iOS. It will be default when you install this ROM, and the notification clocks looks like this in the iOS style. You can choose any of these. Then we have notification icon limit. You can set any amount. So currently it is set on 4. So there will be only 4 notifications which will be shown, but if you drop down, all will be shown automatically. Then we have notification history. Then we have colorful notification icons. You can turn this off, but this will be applied when you restart the system UI. Then we have show weather city, etc. And again we have 2 more channels. If you click on here, it will redirect you to the developer, and you can see how smooth it is. I'm not getting any lag. So the Wi-Fi, mobile network, etc. are just like other builds. mostly like MIUI. Then we have wallpaper and personalization, and in wallpaper and personalization we have a lot of settings. So you can see we get the lock screen. Here we get the wallpapers just like other HyperOS builds, and currently I have set this wallpaper, and this is the default wallpaper that you will get when you install this ROM. Then we have themes. So for themes you can go to find more and it will redirect you to the theme store. Then we have wallpaper, and these wallpapers will be shown, and you can go to gallery to set any wallpaper you like. Then we have AOD, and in AOD we don't have any restrictions. You can choose always, smart, and for 10 seconds. So currently it is on schedule, so the time is 7:16 PM. That's why the AOD will work normally, and you can choose any of these styles in the AOD. Even you can download any style from the theme store. So basically we get a lot of styles. You can see if we apply this, it will look like this. Then we also have kaleidoscope. So if I choose this one, it will look like this. So if I show you closely, you can see it will look like this, and this works on a different place every time you lock your phone, so there is no issue of screen burning. And we also get these tiles, and these are also animated. Let me show you. So you can see we get this animation, and we also have dynamic, and in effects we get the notification effect style, and we get these 3 styles. I mean 4, because here is another which is the light up screen, which is not a style, it is default. So if I go to fonts, we have these 2 options. If you want more, you can go to theme store and download any font you like, and then we get all themes, category, and the themes directly on your screen. Then in more connectivity options, we get portable hotspot, cast, etc., and we get the quick share. And in notification and status bar, just like MIUI, we get the show connection speed, which is this one basically, the network traffic indicator. Then we have hide notch option. So if I turn it on, the notch will be hidden during the time you use your phone, but I don't like that, so I will keep it off. Then we have notch in individual apps, so you can customize the notch in all the applications that you have installed. Then we have the control center style. So we get basically 2 styles. Then we have smart device controls. You can select none here. Then in home screen we get these settings, and here's a bunch of options. You can see we get the Gemini icon, then the search provider. Here you can choose Google. Then in sound and touch, we get the notification, ringtone, and alarm. And for haptics, we get a great haptics just like we get in MIUI, and I will say even better, because the HyperOS is much better when compared to MIUI. Now in sound effects, we get a lot of options. You can see we have Dolby Atmos, Harman Kardon, and Xiaomi sound. So we get all 3 options. And even we get graphic equalizer, where you can customize everything you want in the sound. Then in assign buttons, you can assign any buttons on your headphone. Then in additional settings, we get these options. And in profile video for incoming calls, you can set any photo. Now in this case, I would like to talk about the call recording. So we get the MIUI dialer, hence the call recording is working fine, but you have to tap on call recording, and you can also listen to the call record just like we do in MIUI. And I forgot to talk about the touch. So in touch, you can customize the touch. You get many options. Now in fingerprint face data, we get the typical UI like MIUI. Now in battery, we get an extra option, which is the charging option. So in charging, you can set the top speed, low voltage, and standard. And I think there is 2 more options missing. I remember when I installed this ROM, there was 2 more options, but you will be able to use them when you install this ROM. Now we have reverse wireless charging, which will not work because we don't have wireless charging in our device. However, we get the charging limit right here, and in additional features we get these options. Although 5G battery saver is not useful for our device because we have 4G device. And in battery protection, you get again regular charging, optimized charging, or limited charging, and you will be getting the battery health. And talking about the battery backup is quite decent, so I will explain it. So basically, when you completely charge your phone and you start using it from 8 AM in the morning, the battery will remain 20% at 3 PM. So it's basically around 7 to 8 hours of usage, and the screen on time that you get in is 6 hours. And I'm talking about 120 Hz, not 60 Hz. So if you use it for 60 Hz, you will be getting 10 to 12 hours of use time, and the screen on time that you will get is around 7 hours, not more than that. So the battery backup is pretty decent. So this is all about battery, and in screen time you will be getting the screen time of your usage. So today's screen time is 5 hours 20 minutes, but I charged the phone twice. And in additional settings we get these options. So we basically get the memory extension, the video toolbox, second space, enterprise modes, etc. And we get the tile. So this is basically the toolbox, which is called video toolbox right here. But if you go to this option, you will see this is named side toolbox, and you get these settings right here. We have manage gaming apps, manage video apps, record voice print calls, etc. But when I go to record voice print calls, it doesn't work, and in manage gaming apps it looks like this. So you can add any games right here, and we have video toolbox. And to enable the sidebar, just tap on the sidebar and it will be turned on, and you will be able to access any apps from here. You can see I can open Telegram in mini window, and you can see the transition is really smooth. There is no lag actually. You can see again, if I open Play Store, the animation is very smooth, and you can open any apps from the sidebar. You can see I can even open the ChatGPT or any apps, you can see here. So this works fine. While calling, if you turn on the tile, you will be getting the Ultra HD mode, which sharpens your voice. Although let's skip this. Now talking about the stock applications, we have wallpaper and style. This is the MIUI wallpaper and style, I guess, but the icon is visible, I don't know why. Then we have Magisk, but the ROM is not pre-rooted. I manually rooted the ROM. Although by default you will not be getting the Play Store certification. It will be always like this, device is not certified. But if you flash a module which works, which basically turns on the Play certification, that will do the work. Now talking about the stock camera, we get the Leica camera, and the Leica camera is really good, as you all know. Let me show you some samples. You can see I have captured these photos. You can see there is a lot of detail in the photos. You can see even after zooming there is a lot of details as we get in Leica camera, and all the modes are working fine. We have the ultra wide and the main sensor, and the macro will be accessible from here. But this camera is not like other Leica camera builds. If we go to Pro mode, we will be getting the macro sensor access, as you can see, and this is working really fine. And we get Leica Vibrant and Leica Authentic. And if I show you the camera version, you can see the camera version is HolyVR 4.5.00. So this is the version of Leica camera. Now as I discussed earlier, you will be getting all the iOS style UI in this build. You can see the recent can be customized like this, I mean iOS style. The notification can be customized to the iOS style, and also the lock screen is actually iOS style in the HyperOS. So you must give it a try. Although this is based on Android 13, not Android 14. But however, Android 14 builds are not that stable. If you want smoothness, you must go for Android 13 for now. Now let's talk about the performance that we get in this ROM. So first of all, I have tested the AnTuTu benchmark, and before that I would like to mention that the application installing speed in this ROM is blazing fast, I will say. As you can see in this clip, I installed the AnTuTu benchmark, the main application, and then the 3D version of the applications, I mean the graphics. Both were installed in just few milliseconds. It did not even took few seconds, where in Android 14 or below Android 13 we see a lot of time that are taken by the applications to install, but that's not the case in this build of HyperOS. The application installing speed just really impressed me a lot. Now back to the topic. I tested the AnTuTu and I got 3,63,290 as you can see, and in the detailed score you can see I got this much score. The GPU score was 78,183, which is little bit low as compared to custom ROMs. And talking about the CPU throttling test, I also tested that and I got this much score. You can see the CPU throttled 90% of its maximum performance, and the graph is decent. There is not much CPU fluctuations. You can see sometimes the CPU performance increases, but most of the time it's stable, as you can see here. And the most important part is I tested both these benchmarks while the battery was set to performance mode. So This is what I'm talking about. It was set on ultimate mode, which is the performance boost mode that we get in MIUI and almost all the OEM softwares, and this option is also available on Realme UI and other softwares like One UI, etc. So this is the performance that we get in this build. So for the performance part, next I will test the gaming performance. So currently I don't have BGMI installed, so I will test the Call of Duty Mobile. So let's see a quick gaming test. And in this build we get the game turbo. So in game turbo we get wild boost or balanced, and this is basically AI powered setting that we get. So here we can customize the visuals. We have saturated, bright and saturated, and HDR, and even you can also turn on any applications in the small window mode. You can see I have opened the WhatsApp and you can even close it. So let's play a quick match in the Call of Duty. And talking about the settings, we get unlock higher FPS in games option in this build. So I have the max option turned on, so the game should run on 90 FPS or 120 FPS. You can see as it says multiplayer mode is 120 FPS. So let's see. So the first match I am playing is on normal mode, which is the balanced mode in the game turbo, you can see. And for visuals I am showing the options in few seconds, and we get some more options like bandwidth priority, enhanced visuals, enhanced frame rate. So if I turn it on, I think I will be getting more frame rates. You can directly customize the brightness from here. Then we have voice changer. So in voice changer, if I allow it, we get these options, and we get cast, switch SIM card, etc. And even we get record, combos, side, etc. So let's play a little bit. You can see there is no lag in the Call of Duty. I have turned on the FPS meter by Franco Kernel Manager, and let's start a match. And I hope this FPS meter is visible. Also the video is recorded at 60 FPS, so you should be able to see all the frames. The frame drops. So you can see the frame rate is around 60 FPS all the time. However, it should give 120 FPS, but I don't know what's the problem with the settings. So you can see we easily get 59.7 or 60 FPS during the gameplay in multiplayer mode. And guys, you can see after playing the Call of Duty for a few minutes, the temperature has risen to 43 degree, which is not too much actually. Now let's see the performance in the BGMI. So currently I am on BGMI. So first of all, let me show you the graphic settings. So you can see in smooth we get 90 FPS, but in HD we get high, and we don't get HDR option. So first of all, I would like to play a team deathmatch. So let's see how the performance is. And guys, I have turned on the FPS meter by Franco Kernel Manager. You can see the FPS right here. I hope it's visible. And let me turn on the gyroscope. So you can see initially the frame rate is quite stable, around 70 fps, actually close to 80. So you can see the frame rate is quite impressive. So guys, even after 8 minutes of match, the frame rate is quite stable. You can see it's hovering around 75 to 80 fps. So guys, in TDM it's giving around 70 to 80 fps. That means in Battle Royale I would probably get around 65 fps. So that's also impressive. And if I show you the current temperature, the temperature is around 43 degree, you can see here, and the active drain is around 14 to 15%, and current discharging rate is around 1450 milliampere, 1450 milliampere actually. So guys, this was the gaming review of this ROM. So you can see even in BGMI the frame rate was really stable around 80 fps, which is quite impressive. Being a HyperOS, the frame rate is quite good. Now moving to the installation, let's talk about the installation. And here's a good news that you don't have to use any special recovery for installing this ROM. You can simply continue with the Orange Fox EROFS-Compression build, I mean that recovery, which comes with EROFS-Compression, and this is the file name of that recovery which you usually use for installing any Android 13 on 14 based ROMs that are coming from January 2024, and older builds also, I'm not sure about them. But for most of the ROMs that we flash in our Redmi Note 10 Pro and Pro Max, we use the Orange Fox EROFS-Compression build. So just use that recovery. So in most of the ROMs, you can see that recovery is mentioned, the Orange Fox EROFS-Compression build, as you can see here. However, I hope you got the point. The thing is, you have to use the Orange Fox EROFS-Compression build. I will put a link of that recovery in the video description, so you don't need to worry about the recovery. So let's move to the installation, and this is the advanced restart UI of this ROM. So if I reboot into recovery, you can see Orange Fox boots up, which is the EROFS-Compression build which is I am using, and it is requiring password. That means the decryption is working. That's why I told you to use this recovery, and you can see the recovery details here. I am using the R11.16. This is the EROFS-Compression build of Orange Fox. So first of all, what you need to do is go to wipe, select Dalvik cache, data and metadata, and swipe to wipe. Then go to home and then go to files. Now go to that directory where you have saved that file. Simply select the zip. Here I don't have the ROM zip, that's why I am showing with another zip. Just select the ROM zip like this and swipe to confirm flash. When the flashing is complete, just go to wipe and go to format data, type yes and hit enter. When the formatting is complete, just click on reboot and reboot to system. So that's it for the installation. And if you are thinking about flashing the firmware, you don't need to flash the firmware because this ROM comes with the inbuilt firmware, and I think the firmware is different, that's why it is included with the ROM, so you don't need to worry about the firmware. And also the GApps, because it's HyperOS, GApps will be surely be included in the ROM, so you don't need to worry about that too. And here's the boot animation of this build, Xiaomi HyperOS, and it boots like this. And after booting you can see the depth wallpaper that we get in the HyperOS. So that's it for the installation. So I hope you liked this review. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. I make custom ROM related videos like this, and I also make videos about Realme 6 and Mi Adult devices, which includes Redmi Note 9 Pro, Pro Max, Redmi Note 9S and Poco M2 Pro. And the Realme 6 falls under RM6785 devices. So that's it. If you like custom ROM related content, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because if you subscribe, I would continue making good stuff for you all. So that's it. Make sure to give it a like. The like aim of this video is 100 likes. I hope you will do that. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.